Welcome to the quick view video demo of the GEM Genesis Ensemble. The Genesis Ensemble is available in a vertical piano cabinet, like we see here, also in a 4-foot grand piano cabinet, and several portable instruments. There are far too many features in the Genesis series to try to cover them all in this short video, but I am going to hit on the more unique features, starting with just giving you a basic idea of what is in the Genesis. To start with, sounds. There are 256 presets. A preset is the sound you play. It might be a piano or a guitar or a string sound, a flute, drums, whatever. A preset can also be up to 6 sounds layered. So you might want a piano with strings or a guitar with a flute behind it or whatever. So there are 256 factory presets, and then also you can create your own. So if you want to create your own layers or setups or make edits to the sounds that are already in the existing presets, you can do that and store 256 of your own as user presets. There are also styles in the Genesis. Now, that first song that I played, a Herb Alpert song, that was using a style called Albert Pop. The style section, or the arranger section, is your backup band. So if you want to play with a swing band or a jazz band, a funk band, a polka band, whatever, you can simply select the style that would be appropriate, and then the Genesis will supply all of the background for you, and you just play the melody. There is also a floppy disk drive. Now, that floppy disk drive will allow you to load more sounds, more styles, also standard MIDI files or songs that can be saved on disks and then played through the Genesis system. Those songs can come from, or the discs can come from, the internet. You can download songs from the internet, or when you buy music books, a lot of music books these days have a CD or a floppy disk, and I just gave something else away. I said CD. So we'll talk about that next, and that is right over here. You see there's a CD tray, and this CD drive can read or play standard audio CDs. So you take one out of your home stereo system, pop it in the Genesis, and it will play back using the Genesis speaker system. It will also play MP3 files. So if you're familiar with downloading music from the internet and saving them as MP3s or burning them onto a CD from your computer, you can then put that type of CD into the instrument, and those songs will play. Now, we mentioned burning on your computer. The fact is, this CD drive is also a CD burner. So if you create your own music or make recordings on the instrument, you can actually burn those to the CD and then take that CD out and play it in any stereo system. We're going to get into that in a little bit. That's one of the more cool features about the Genesis. Also, besides the floppy disk and besides the CD, there is an internal hard drive. Hard drive, just like what's in your computer at home. That's very nice because in the past, if you had a lot of songs on floppy disks, you would have stacks of floppy disks in the bench or laying all over the instrument or under the couch, or the dog ate it or whatever. In this case, you can take all the songs that you either get on floppy disk or on CD, or that you create yourself, and save them onto the internal hard drive. It's a huge hard drive, so you can store thousands of songs, literally. Let's take a look at the front panel for a second and give you an idea of where all the controls are and what they do. I mentioned the presets. On the right side of the panel are 16 buttons labeled preset families, and each one of these buttons has its own label: piano, mallet, organ, guitar, strings, brass, and so forth. And it's quite simple. If you want a piano sound, you simply press the button labeled piano, and then in the display you will see a choice of 16 piano type sounds. So I'm going to show you the display here. When I press the piano button, which I just did, we will now, in the display, see 16 sounds. And at the very top it says piano family, so we know that's the button we've selected. The first sound that is selected in the upper left is stereo grand. Let's play that just a little bit. To the right of the stereo grand preset we just played is another preset labeled grand strings. Now, I want to show you how to select sound on the panel, so we'll move back to the main screen. to the left and right of the LCD, there are a row of buttons. Each button is assigned a particular sound or a particular function depending on what mode you happen to be in. So in this case, we're selecting sounds, and let's press the upper right button to the right of the grand string sound, and let's see what we get. Of course, there are many types of pianos, acoustic as well as electric pianos. Here's one called Rode X70s. This is it's a Rhodes piano, an electromechanical instrument. It was popular back in the 70s, 80s. Still popular today, really. It sounds like this. Or another electric piano sound you're probably familiar with. Very pretty. So you can see there are quite a few different types of piano sounds to choose from. There's harpsichords, clavinets, other layers with piano and organs and so forth. Let's, speaking of organ, let's go to the organ group. And now here's one called carousel organ. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, that's kind of fun. How about this one called vibrato B3? Now this is one of the Hammond sounds in the Genesis. Something interesting, if you're familiar with the Hammond type organ, used a lot in jazz music, churches and so forth, they typically run that organ through a speaker system called a Leslie, which is a rotating speaker. And we have a Leslie built into the Genesis. It's an electronic version of that. And I'm going to start with the Leslie rotating slowly. I'll play a chord, and then when you see me press this button, which is dedicated for slow, fast Leslie control, listen to the Leslie speed up. Okay, now I don't know if you noticed it or not, but I hit this button over here with my little pinky and I was holding that chord. Well, these are programmable pads that are assignable to many, many different functions. In this case, I have assigned the Leslie control here, so I have one that's handy for my right hand and also one that's handy for my left. I could even use the pedals to assign the Leslie control down there to use one of the three pedals. So let's move on to another section. How about the orchestral preset families? Here's one called Baroque. We'll take a listen to it. As you can hear, that's a layer. There's a harpsichord. Also some strings in the background. And there's actually a lead violin or solo violin. Or if we want simply just strings,